Hello everyone, in today's tutorial I'm going to show how to make this daisy micro macrame ring that looks like this. So you get this daisy effect on the front and you have your ring band, also nicely decorated as well, going all the way around to a connection point there, so it's a complete ring. And it looks a little something like this on. So you get that nice effect and it's nice and comfortable to wear as well. All the way around just like that. Now I made this ring here based off a previous design that I've made. So first one was this bracelet that I've done. You can see you have that same effect and it's just basically made into a full bracelet length. And then also I made a pair of earrings previously. This is just one of them. So all of it really goes really nicely together and you can make a full set that you can wear if you would like to. And obviously if you want to you can make it all match. That's completely up to you. But in this tutorial here I'm going to show you how to make the ring. So if you want to learn it, then keep watching. So these are the materials that we're going to be using. I have the cord here first of all. This is a 0.4mm s-lon in this really lovely teal colour. And then the beads that I'm using are these all different ones here. So I have some round metal spacer copper beads in 3 different sizes. The first ones are 4mm rounds. The next ones here, the middle ones, are 3mm. And then the little tiny ones here, the 2mm ones. And then we also need some SuperDuos. Now I'm using these cream coloured ones. They'll go nicely with the rest of the beads and the colours. And then finally here I have some seed beads. These are 11 Miyuki seed beads, just in black. You can use whatever you want to. So let's get all the materials together and let's get started. So then we need to cut some lengths of the cord, and what I have is 10 lengths of my s-lon, about 50 centimeters each, and these are going to make the whole ring. So I then took 2 lengths of the cords that I cut ready now and attached them onto my mini macrame board here and just added them onto these notches on the edge. It's going to make it nice and easy to work with. Then on the top end here, what I've made sure to do is left a tail on both of them of about 15 centimeters or so, because we're going to use that later on, because we're going to start with the middle part of the ring and then work our way outwards towards the sides. And then we'll need to take the rest of the cords one at a time, like this here, and attach them onto these 2 lengths that we have on the board. So first I'm going to take my first one and again measure in from one end about 15 centimeters, and then it's at that point where we want to attach it. So I'm just going to do one at a time here, show you how I do that. So I release just the one cord on the board because we're going to attach 4 to one side and then 4 on the other one here. But on here what I'm doing is kind of just holding this towards the left, and then this point on the cord that I'm attaching, I put that underneath and just hold on to that for now. So make sure I keep that same tail. And then I'm going to take the long end here and then wrap that over the top of the holding cord, which is the one that we're holding out here from the board, and then back underneath and through the loop. So through the loop that we made when we brought it around. And then tighten that. We can't let go yet because then that will come undone. So we need to do this one more time. So bring the long tail back over the top and then back underneath to then bring it up through the loop again. And then tighten this, and now that creates the knot where we can then kind of pull from both ends, and then that's a knot where it's going to stay on the cord, so we can let go and it won't come undone. So that's attaching the cords here. This is then how you do it on this side. You attach another 3 cords just like this, and then you can reattach that, and then all you do is on the other side you repeat the same thing by releasing that, but then I'm holding it with the other hand in the opposite direction here and then attaching the cords in the same way but kind of just in a mirrored image, so you also end up with 4 cords there with the short tails going out towards the top. So I then attached all the cords here, 4 on each side, and then you'll have the short lengths kind of going towards the middle but pushing them up and out of the way, and then the longer lengths are now going out towards the sides. We're going to be bringing them down here like that because we're going to be working with them. And then these 2 that are the holding cords, what you then want to make sure to do is the cords that we attached here, just pull them down the cord a little bit so that when I bring the 2 holding cords together, so basically crossing over each other, you're going to have the 2 rows of knots that we've made now by attaching the cords sitting, let's get them out of the way, so that when they meet they're basically going to form a 90-degree angle just like that. So then what we need to do is attach them together. So I have the holding cords crossing over. I have my right one crossing over the left one, so the left one here is coming underneath, so that means I need to make my knot with that. So I take that, go around the other cord, bring it back underneath, so it loops around like this here, and then I tighten that up to sit at the end of those 2 rows, and then we need to repeat, so around my finger there and through the loop back underneath it, and then make sure to hold the holding cord out top, and then before I pull the second one here, just going to get hold of that first one again. I just want to pull that so that sits how I want it to, because right now the cords are a bit loose. And then I pull the second one tight, and that then holds it in place. And we then there have the 2 sides connected. So it's now more becoming one piece. And then this is where we have all the longer lengths now starting to come down, straight down there. And the shorter ones are just pointing straight upwards and out of the way. So these are the ones, long ones coming down, that we're going to now use to make the midpoint. So I'm going to start working on one side at a time here. So just take all the lengths that are going out more towards one side, just get them out of the way, because we're going to be doing the same thing on both sides, just in a mirrored image. So I'm just starting on my left one, it doesn't matter which one you start with. Then I'm going to take the 2 cords that are furthest out towards the left, and I'm just starting from the outside and working my way in towards the middle. And then what we need to do is, you can just tighten this a little bit, just so it sits a bit better. Then I'm going to use these 2 here to make kind of the outer edge. So first of all I need to make a knot. So I have the 2 lengths, just get all these out of the way. The outer one I'm bringing over the next one and back underneath, and then make sure to pull it through the loop like that, and then tighten it, and then we need to bring it underneath, around, and then over the top and through the loop, and then tighten that. And that's now a vertical lark's head knot. So there we go. And then we need to add in our first beads. So on the second cord in here, the one that's the holding cord really, I'm adding 1 3mm round, just to the very end of the cord, and then let that drop all the way down to sit right after that knot that we made. And then on the outer one here, I need to add my seed beads. So I'm adding 4 of them, and then making sure to let them drop all the way down here. So we're just adding enough to basically go around the outer edge of that 3mm round. So it's going to sit just perfectly, and kind of cage that in. And then we need to kind of lock this all in place. So I'm going to take again the outer cord, and we need to make another knot just like we did before the bead. Go over, back around and under, and then tighten this underneath that 3mm round, making sure all the beads are staying on that side of this knot here. So we're tightening the knot on the bottom side of the 3mm round, but making sure those seed beads stay captured in between as well, the knots. And then we need to go under, back over the top and through the loop, and then tighten that again so it becomes nice and secure. So you now have those little seed beads sitting right on the edge of that bead. So you just want to keep repeating this on this side here, and what we're going to need is to do this 4 times. Then when we've done the one side here where we have the 4 round beads with 1 knot in between and also 1 on each end, remember to do that last one, and then we just want to move to the other side and repeat the exact same thing. So I'm just going to get all the way to the right side now, take the middle cords out of the way again, opposite to the way that we're working, and then take the 2 outer cords here and just do the same thing here, just in a mirrored image. So that means the outer one is going to be the working cord, and then the next one in is going to be the holding cord. So you then just take the working cord over, back around and under, start making the first knot, tighten that, and then under, back over and through, and tighten, and then that's the first knot. And then we just want to add the beads in the same way. So the 3mm round to the inner one, the holding cord, and then the seed beads to the outer one, and then make 4 sections, beads there, just like we did on the other side, on this side, so we have the same on both sides here. And then we need to move on to the next ones in. So once I've done the two sides here, I'm just going to put the cords that I used for them out of the way so we don't get too tangled up, and then move into the next ones. Again, doesn't matter what side you start with because we're going to be doing the same thing to both. So I'm just going to take the next two cords on the left side here. So the very next two right there. And then I'm going to just separate them out. We're going to be adding some beads to these. So first of all, what I want to do is add a SuperDuo. So I'm just going to add the SuperDuo here onto both lengths of cord. So basically one cord through each hole, just like this, in the same direction though, going through here. And there we go. And then I'm going to push this all the way down to sit right below the knots there on top. And then we need to attach one of our 2mm rounds on the outer cord. So this one out here, just get right to the end, then attach the 2mm bead. And the holes are really tiny, so I have to get a little bit closer. So adding that 2mm to the outer one, letting that go all the way down. So just that one, and then on the next bead that we add in, we're going to again add a SuperDuo, and exactly the same as before, you put one cord through each hole, but going in the same direction here. So just do one at a time, and then the other one through. Just get through there if I can find the hole. There we go. And then push that all the way down. So that now means that that little bead that we added in is sitting in between the two SuperDuos, but only on one side. And then we need to add in another tiny little bead on the same cord as before. So that means the outer one of the two. Again, let it drop down. And then finally, we add another SuperDuo in the exact same way as the last bead on this row here. And then what you'll be able to see, if I can get this through, is that we have the SuperDuos with the little tiny beads in between, but because we only added the 2mm beads on one side in between, it gives this kind of curved effect. So that then goes hand in hand with the outside rows that we already did, which also naturally has a curved effect because of the beads that we added. Pull that all the way through and push that down, and then you can see there, kind of sit next to each other like that, but then when you push them close, it pushes that one side together. And that's these two here. So that means we need to do the same thing on the other side. So I'll take the two very middle cords just out of the way for now, because we need to get to the other side and do the exact same thing. So add your SuperDuo, a round bead, and do the 3 SuperDuos with a round bead in between, but make sure you add the little tiny round beads on the outer one so you get the same effect but curving in the opposite direction. So then the final bead that we have to add here is the very largest one in the middle. So that's the 2 middle cords that we have left that we haven't added anything onto yet. I'm going to take both of them, and then they both need to go through the same 4mm round. So just put them both through here, and then also let that drop all the way down to sit right there in the middle. And then we have all the beads added that we need in the middle part here. And just see if you can try and separate them out a bit. Keep the cords to each their own side. So all the ones on the left here from before, where we add all beads, just keep them to the left. And then now what we need to do is start tightening all this in place, because obviously everything right now is quite loose. So we need to get more of a solid piece. So we're going to start from the middle here, then working our way out. So I'm going to take the 2 middle cords with that bead on them now. And then I need to cross one over the other, so I'm just crossing the right one over the left one. We're coming through the bead, and then we need to make a double half hitch. So the one that's coming underneath, which in my case is the right one here, I'm going to bring around my finger and back through the loop. So we get a bit of a reverse 6 like that, and then I'm tightening this all the way up right below the bead, making sure that that cage is in that bead. And then we need to do another one to make it a double. and just like that. And then we now have these two middle cords kind of going each their way out towards the sides. So the one going towards the right here is going to end up being on the right side, and we're going to be using for all these remaining rows here. But on the other side we have towards the left, that one that's going out here is going to be the holding cord for the next row, because we're going to make a row from that midpoint all the way out underneath the other sections with beads here to then cage it all in place. So first off, we want to get the cords from this section of beads with the SuperDuos, and we need to just separate them out. So I'm going to take the very first one of them. Make sure you take, on the left side here is the right one. That's the very next one closest to the middle. And make sure that this holding cord coming out towards the side is going over all the others. So then take this first cord and make a double half hitch. And then make sure to hold the holding cord nice and taut. And then tighten this, which then helps tighten up these beads with the SuperDuos on that section. And another one to make it a double half hitch, like that. Then take the other cord from the same section here. So the very next one we're running into, and make a double half hitch with that. And then this section with the SuperDuos now is fully caged in place on this side anyway. And then just that every time you've made a knot with one of the cords, just put it out of the way and then move on to the very next one here. And this is now the holding cord from this outer section that we use first, because that's the first one that we run into. Make a double half hitch, tighten that right after the previous knot, make sure it gets nice and tight together. So this becomes a complete row of knots underneath all the beads here. And then the final one, so we need to make sure we use them all. Make a double half hitch with that as well. Just like that. So we've now caged all the rows in and the sections with the beads on this left side. That means we need to move back to the right and do the exact same. But obviously we're working on this other side, so it's a mirrored image. Just separate your sections out first of all. And then we need to take this very first cord that we used to cage in that middle bead, the one that's naturally going towards the right, and that's now the holding cord on this side. So that goes over all the others, and then we take the very first one we run into and it's coming underneath, and then make a double half hitch, and then tighten that. So the SuperDuos again end up sitting nice and tight together, especially that inner section without the little round beads in between, because that's then obviously how we get that curve in there. The very next one, and again on this side just work your way all the way out till you used all the cords on this side as well as you did on the other one. So because we now have some work done here in the middle, because this is the whole middle section done, I'm starting to use some pins here as well to help hold the piece in place while we'll keep working on it, because otherwise obviously it'll keep moving around. Just makes it a bit easier. So basically now what we need to do is the rest of the ring, so the ring band, the sides of it, and we're going to be doing one side at a time, but we're going to be doing the same thing. So I'm just going to show you one side here, and then you'll do the exact same thing on the other side as well. So what we need to make first of all is a little square or diamond here on this side, before we can then move on to the further edges of it. So what I'm going to do is go right back to the middle of all of these cords. So you want to take one from each side of the two very middle ones, basically the two ones right there in the corner. And then we need to cross these over, because we then need to start making rows of knots to build up our diamond. Just kind of get some of the other cords a bit out of the way here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross my right one over my left one. It doesn't matter whether you cross the left one over the right one, as long as you stay consistent throughout. It's whatever comes natural to you. But that means the left one is coming underneath and is coming towards the right side. So that is my working cord. So I make a double half hitch around the holding cord with that. Tighten that all the way up into that corner. Another one here to make it the double. And tighten that nicely. And then I've used that working cord, just put it out to the side, move on to the next one, do a double half hitch, and then you'll be able to start seeing that we're building a row of knots here, basically underneath the previous row that we did to connect all the beaded sections in place. Use the next one. So moving from one cord to the next right after we've done a double half hitch. All the way out to the edge here, this is the last one. And then we do have one cord left. That's this one that's going straight out to the side. That was the holding cord from the previous row, but we don't want to use that, so just keep that out to the side. And then now that we've made this row as well, the holding cord from that row, we want to put that out to the side along with it. So we're going to keep swapping now from side to side. That was the row on this left side. I'm going to go back to the middle, and basically in that little corner right in there, I'm going to take the very first working cord that we used for this row, that's now coming towards the right side, and then I need to grab the first cord from the opposite side of that corner as well, because that is then the first working cord, because we now need to make a row on this side. So this first one coming from the left side going towards the right is the holding cord, and we then take the working cord and make a double half hitch right again into that corner. Grab the very next cord from this side here that's coming underneath, make your double half hitch, continue tightening them right after each other, and then using the last one on this side again, just like that. And again, remember to not use the holding cord from the previous row, leave that out to the side, and then the holding cord from the current row, put that out to the side along with it. So that's now another row on each side that we've done here. So now go back to the middle again. So the two most middle cords there, right in the corner. Cross the right one over the left one. And then start a new row with a double half hitch. Like that. Take the working cord, leave it out to the side. Grab the very next one. So we're now building our third row here to create this diamond shape. Double half hitch, and the last one that we have available as a working cord to complete this row here. And again, take this, the holding cord from this current row, put it out to the side, go back to the corner, and then take the first cord coming out towards the right, and then do the equivalent row here on the other side with one cord at a time. And the very next one, final cord here, put the holding cord out to the side. You can see we're also gradually getting less and less cords to work with, so each row is now becoming faster to do as well. Go right back to the corner in the middle, cross the right one over the left one, and then make a double half hitch to start the next row out to the left side. If you're doing it the same way as me, grab the last one here. This is already a very short row compared to the first one. Only using the two cords. Holding cord goes out to the side, go back to the corner, and on the opposite side we just make a row here that just has basically a single knot, just like that. Put the holding cord out to the side, and then we have two cords left right there in the middle, and we just want to finish off this diamond by making that little point. So just cross the same one over that we've done the other times to basically start a new row, but this time this row is only going to be this one knot right there at the tip, and that's now basically the diamond shape created with rows of knots here gradually getting smaller and smaller, and we have all the cords coming out towards the sides. And then I just want to finish off the edges of this diamond nicely. So what I'm going to do is start on either side, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to start on the left, and then I'm going to take the cord furthest towards the left there, so the first outer one. Bring that over all the others in towards the middle, and then we need to use all the others as working cords one at a time. Grab the very first one that's coming underneath, and then make a double half hitch around the holding cord. Tighten that all the way up till it won't go any further. Another one here for a double. And then grab the very next cord and then tighten that. So we're basically now finishing off the rows within the diamond with a nice edge. Grab the next one, working your way all the way towards the tip here, and the final one on this side. a double half hitch, and we used all these cords, and then you want to go to the other side and repeat. So grab the very outer one, in this case furthest to the right because it's on the right side, bring it over all the other cords, and then start making your double half hitches with one cord at a time, always grabbing the very next one that you run into. So tighten that nicely till it won't go any further. Grab the very next one, make a double half hitch. So we again finish off the edge on this side nice and neatly. And again working our way towards the tip here. So we get a complete diamond shape basically. And the last one from this side, a double half hitch, until we then have reached the tip now, but technically now the tip is open. So what we just need to do is close that up by using these two that were the holding cords from each side, crossing the right one over the left one, and making another double half hitch, just to finish it off completely. Just like that, and we now have the tip, just like that there. And then again we have all the cords coming out towards the sides. So we there have a complete diamond. So then to kind of make the rest of this side of the ring band really, what we need to do is also start getting rid of some cords because we have a bit too many to kind of finish off nicely. So what I'm going to actually do is remove the very outer cord from each side and just put them out of the way so we don't get tangled up. I'm going to remove them at the end. And now we have basically 2 cords less. So what I'm going to do now is start the next section here on this side of the ring band, but what I also just want to do is start adding in some more beads or some more embellishment on the side of the ring. So what I'm going to do is get my little tiny 2mm round and then add that on this very outer cord, just so we get that little embellishment. You can also leave this out if you want to. I just really like the look that it gives of the extra embellishment there on the side because the beads are so tiny as well. It just adds a little bit of extra something. And let that drop all the way down. Remember, we're now ignoring the cords that we took out of the way, so we're just focusing on these ones in here. And then to make this next section, make sure that bead stays right there in that corner. Then bring that cord we added the bead onto underneath the very next cord. So now basically the cord that's coming out towards the left here is the holding cord, and we need to make a knot with this working cord that the bead is on around that. So just a double half hitch like we've been using, tighten that all the way down and make sure that bead stays on the outside there so it gets captured in that little corner. Another one to make it a double, and you can see we're kind of starting another row here but going away from the piece outwards, but we're just making them little tiny rows just like that, one knot. And then what I'm going to do is grab the working cord and bring that underneath the very next cord that's coming out from the piece, and then make a double half hitch again with just the one knot. And now I'm just making that little tiny row right underneath the one we just did before. Bring it underneath the next one. So we're working from the outer side all the way in towards the middle. Again, make a double half hitch just like that. And that's one side for now. We need to move to the other side and repeat the exact same thing. So remember, if you want to add it on the outer one here that we're going to be using to make the knots with, add your little bead onto that and let it drop all the way down to sit right there in what's going to end up being a corner. And then make sure to bring it underneath the very next cord so it's going to get trapped there, and then make your double half hitch, tighten that nicely just like that. Go underneath the next one, a double half hitch again, and keep repeating this all the way in towards the middle just like we did on the other side until we used up all the cords. Double half hitch here, and now we used up all the cords from this side, but again we're at the midpoint and we have these 2 cords coming from each their own side, naturally wanting to cross over. So I'm going to let them do that, but what we need to do is kind of continue in the same direction. So I'm just bringing the one that I've been bringing under here back underneath that middle one, and then just making another row as if we're just continuing. just like that. So that's now all these cords used, but I also again want to kind of finish off this edge nicely, just like I did with the diamond up here. So to do that, all we're going to do is go back to the outer cord on each side, start on one, starting on my left one, bringing that over the other cords here on the side, and then take one at a time, make a double half hitch, working your way again towards the middle, and grab the very next cord. And you'll be able to see that we're just finishing off these rows nicely, so we don't have kind of open ends. And this makes a really nice pattern as well. On the other side, take the very outer one, bring it over, make your double half hitches from the outside, working towards the middle, again finishing off the edges nicely, working your way one at a time, making a double half hitch here, and then we're getting to the last one, just like this here. Grab the very last one that's coming from the other side. That's basically going to be the very tip of this one here, so kind of close up this little shape that we've done. And that's now the next kind of step or level on this side of the ring band. And then really what you want to do now is continue to repeat this, but gradually getting rid of more and more cords. So to do that, just to show you how to get started, is first of all, remember to separate out the cords that we don't want to use. So the outer one on each side, we'll put that out of the way, up with the other ones that we eliminated before. And then these are the ones we're going to use now. But first of all, if you want to add the beads, remember to add the beads on the very outer one before we start making any knots at all. And let it drop all the way down before we start making any knots. And repeat on the other side, just to show you which ones you add the beads onto. And then the outer one on this side as well when we get to that. So you can see it just gives that nice effect of those beads added on this side. But again, there we're getting rid of some more cords, so we now have less to make this next section with. But it's the exact same technique as what I just showed you here. You're just going to have one row less to do, but otherwise finish it off in the same way. And then this is going to be one side of the ring band, and then you want to turn your piece or your board around and do the exact same thing over here. So now continued on both sides here, as you can see, we have more of a solid piece. The only thing now, we have two ends that we then need to connect. But before we do that, I just want to talk a bit about sizing. Now this one here is going to fit me nicely, but for about an average size, so about a size N, you actually want to do about, if you say the beads here, you want to end up having 8 beads on each side. So I've just done one extra link to make it fit me, but that's about an average size. So what you can also just do is measure it along the way. So do a length on both sides, and then kind of take it off what you're working on. Either try it around your finger or your ring mandrel, whatever you have, and see if that fits where the connection point would be. If it doesn't, you can always make an extra kind of little section on each side, and then obviously continue like that until you're happy with this size. But then what I just want to do now, before we actually connect the two ends, I'm just going to get rid of some of these cords because we have quite a few that we want to get rid of. So I'm just going to get a pair of scissors ready because we want to cut off the excess here. And the first ones that I just want to get rid of, we need to make sure we leave the ones on the end. So the 4 on each end here. Make sure you don't cut them off now because obviously we need to use them to connect the two ends together. But I want to get rid of all the ones that are going out to the side in the middle here. So all these ones. So just take one or a few at a time. I'm going to cut off the excess close to where the cord is coming out from. Something like that here. Cut that off. And then I'm going to take a lighter. And I can do this because I'm using a synthetic cord. If you're using a natural cord, you're going to have to use glue just to glue around the end before you cut off the cord. But for here, because it's synthetic, I can just cinch down that very end and then kind of push it in. And that gets rid of the cord but also seals it in place so nothing is going to come undone. You want to do that, like I said, with all of these ones going out straight out to the side, kind of in the middle of the piece. So now I got rid of the excess there. I have just the cords left on the ends that I need to use to connect the piece. So what I'm going to do is actually start bringing the ends together, obviously with the inside or the back of it being the inside of the ring there. So we have the front pointing outwards. Then I'm going to be bringing these two ends together. We're going to connect them from point to point, just like this. But we need to use some knots to be able to actually connect them. Now the first part here is a bit fiddly because obviously they're loose and everything is moving around. But just do your best to hold on to it there. So you can see here we have 2 cords going out to kind of each their own side on both ends. So when we bring them together like this, you have cords that are kind of wanting to cross over each other. I'm just going to work on one side at a time and show you one side at a time, because you then flip it over and do the exact same thing on the other side. But then what we have here on the bottom end, I have these 2 cords going out to this side. I'm going to grab the top one of them, so the one furthest towards the point, and lay that over the 2 coming from the opposite side, and they are coming underneath it. And then this is, like I said, the most fiddly part. It's just the first knot really, because what we need to do is use the first one, the one that's furthest towards the point of the opposite, the top side there, as the first working cord, and we need to make a double half hitch with that. So that's coming underneath the cord that's going out to the side there over it, and then bring it around, make a double half hitch. So like I said, it can be a bit fiddly, the very first one. Bring that around so that when you're holding, in this case, the cord coming from the point on the bottom end, and you pull that tight, it brings the 2 ends close together. But obviously this is just the first half of the knot, so we need to make the second half to make it secure, otherwise this will just come undone. So grab hold of that and take the same cord, go around again to make it the double half hitch, going around the same holding cord as well. Then just before I tighten that second one, I just want to make sure that this hasn't opened up, and if it has, just pull it nice and tight, the first half of the knot, before we then tighten the second half. So obviously we want this to sit as close together as possible, so the 2 tips really there meet right up with each other. So that's the first one. And then what we need to do is also use the next one that's coming from the other side there and coming underneath. Do a double half hitch with that. Now it becomes a bit easier because you don't have to hold on to it as much, because it's kind of holding its shape. So obviously it's not wanting to keep opening up now. There we go. That's the first ones. And then we need to take the other cord from this side that we haven't used yet. So that's the bottom one out of the bottom side. We need to bring that over the other ones here. Just bring them around. Make sure it comes over the top of them going out to the side, because that's in the new holding cord. And then you just want to do a double half hitch with each of them again, in the exact same way, but now around this holding cord instead. So we're basically building a row now underneath the one that we just did. And this is just to connect it and make the connection point nice and secure, but also blend in as nicely as we possibly can with the pattern that we already have in the rest of the ring band. So there we go. And now I'm just going to leave it at that with that one cord, because if you want to make a knot with this one as well, you can do if you wanted the extra security, but it just makes it actually come out a bit too far compared to being even with the rest of it. So I'm just going to leave it at that here with this row underneath. And that's basically how you connect it. So you now want to flip it around and then repeat on this side from the bottom one here, bring that across the top, the first one, make your double half hitches with each of them, then do your next row with just one of them. And then you just want to cut off the excess of the cord, singe down the ends if you're using a synthetic cord, just like I showed you up here on that side, getting rid of them the exact same way. And then once you've done that, fully connected it and got rid of the excess cord, then you'll have your complete ring. So this is then what the finished ring looks like here. So you have that kind of daisy looking effect at the front, and then with the edges as well with the seed beads. And then we'll go around from the front, have that nice ring band and the connection point on the back. So that's what it looks like here. You have a complete ring with a nice decoration on the front. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and please let me know if you did, and thank you very much for watching.